Hello, welcome back to Blender VSE Live Noding. In this episode, I'm gonna give you a quick example of how you can use nodes with Blender VSE. So Blender VSE is of course a Blender video sequence editor. This is the environment we can choose to work with. And here, normally this is what you get. You can put some video here or image, whatever stripes they call it. But here I will be using node editor, and I will be using Sverchok for now, but I will be using animation nodes at some point. So let's save this really quick. This is going to be SVSE nodes. Save Blender. So for this one, in order for this to work, we need to have some kind of assets to work with. So I will be using a video. Let me grab really quick. This is the video I will be using. It's a very short one. It's just around 3 seconds, and this is animated 3D heads that I did the other day. It's actually real time. I made using the iPhone 10 and Blender. It's just like reciting.
May the force be with you.
Yeah, as you already know, it's May the Force be with you from Star Wars, and it was voiced by Samuel L. Jackson, so I just gonna be using that. I think Windu is the name of the character. So currently the video is running at 60 frames per second, but it's a little bit out of sync, so I will fix that as well. So back to video sequence editor or VSE in Blender. I'm gonna bring in the file. I'm gonna switch. First of all, I'm gonna make sure the frame rate matches this guy right here. So let me actually check with QuickTime. Command I. So yeah, it is indeed 60 frames per second. So we need to set this to 60 frames per second in the properties, and then we can import our file. Shift A, movie. And let's grab this. Ajar, may the force be with you. Start frame. Yeah, everything seems to be okay. Add a movie. So now you can see we have our audio and the video. It's gonna be a little bit out of sync, and we probably need to fix this dimensions first of all. 1412. 1412, 1432. Okay. Now it looks a little bit better, and let's run this. Oh, actually, before I run it, I'm gonna make sure that the frame rate playback, I can use the audio scrubbing, and then I can also use the frame dropping, and then the AV sync. So now I can scrub on it, and then for the audio, I'm gonna turn on draw waveform so I can see the waveform here. So now we can actually tell when his mouth starting to say something. I can just drag the audio to match the animation.
May the force be with you.
And just make sure the
May the
timeline.
force be with you. May the force be with you. May the force be with you. May the force be with you.
Seems like it's almost.
May the force be with you. May the force be with you.
It's almost there.
May the force be with you. May the force be with you. May the force be with you. May the force be with you.
Sometimes the sound.
May the force be with you.
The sound needs to be earlier than the animations, I think. Okay, anyway, it's pretty much fixed now. We can go to the nodes, and for this example, I will be actually using text stripes. So Shift A, and I'm gonna add a couple of texts. Shift A. This one, effect strip text. So this text, as you can see, is very, very tiny by default. And I will be adding some kind of impromptu subtitles, kind of like a titling of the may the force be with you. So I will be doing that exactly. So the text is small. You can of course adjust it here with the size, but I will be using nodes to do that at some point. For this, we're gonna add the text input. Wait. So that's the text. What is the actual text that will be displayed? That's the one. Actually, we can change it to whatever we want it to be. So the name of the object is text, and if we duplicate it, we're gonna have now I'm gonna have 5 texts. May the force be with you. Actually, I need 6, and they can be overlapping for now, but I will change the text. May the force be with you. Okay, so if they're overlapping, we're gonna have that kind of effects, which we probably don't want, but we're gonna fix that with the nodes. I think that's should be okay. The thing with the text is that we have 1, 2, 3, we have 6 texts, and if we want to change the size all at the same time, if you just try to put the value here, you know, like 20, you see it's only applying it on one of the texts. But there is a like a hidden trick here. You can actually hold options and then click and then type in the value, and that's gonna change the size for all the text. Same thing if you want to select all these text stripes, layered of text stripe, and then you want to turn on the shadow, or you want to maybe move it in the Y, you hold options and then kind of drag it. I think that should fix it. Yep, there you go. I missed one. That's why. You can also use no. All hold options or Alt on the PC heading and then just drag here. So that way you can change the size and whatever. But now you can see this guy is kind of like the offset of the previous positions, and so yeah, it's not the most intuitive. So I'm gonna be using nodes for this. Let's get into it. We don't have exact node for the VSE, but you will see that it's actually quite intuitive to get to this value. If you kind of hover over one of the text stripe, you can see there's the data is actually bpy.data.scenes blah 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 sequence editor sequence all type of text, actually name text, font size. That's the name of the parameter. So we can dig inside this data very easily. Just simply use object ID in Sverchok and just use selector. And here just actually switch to scene. Where's the scene? This guy. Now we are actually inside the scene using just this one node, and we can for the next one we're gonna use object ID set. So the scene we're gonna actually dig inside, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is what's the name? Sequence editor. Okay, we need to be inside sequence editor. Okay, now we can go inside it. You can use stethoscope nodes time to time to check what we are actually looking at. bpy.data scene sequence editor. So yeah, that's correct. We can dig inside and go to the sequence all, I think. Sequence all. Let's check. Sequences all. There you go. We are inside sequences all, and look at the value. Still, we cannot see much. But if I start to use this bracket and then colon and then bracket, we can see all the nodes, all the stripes inside this sequence editor. This is a good start. And let me see quickly. We actually only want to be dealing with the text. We don't want to deal with this video and audio for now. So how to get to all the text? We can use the filter. So object ID filter, just filter the name, just get all with name text. So now we are only looking at 6 of the stripes. So cool, that's taken care of. And sometimes we actually need to sort the object ID also by its names. Keep this in mind. Sometimes this list might get unsorted, so you want to sort it. So object ID sort is very important for that. For now, we only have 6, so it's not that important. So we have 6, and how about we want to change the size, for example. Since we already have access to all these 6 blocks of text stripe, we can easily access the font size. So simply use the object ID again, object ID set, and based on this, we just put in font size. So font size actually give us the current font size, 122, okay. We can change it using an integer value. Just plug it in, and you see we can now control the font size using nodes. So that's cool. Let's now control the locations X and location Y. You can see the attributes there, locations bracket 0. Okay, let's do that real quick. Locations, index 0, and locations with index 1. So that's the X and that's the Y. This one should be the objects, not the out value. Keep that in mind. It's very important. Don't get that mixed up. We are still dealing with the objects, and this is the out value. But for the next one, you don't plug in the out value into the objects. Okay, for the value of the position, we can use float. So it's going to be the X, and that's going to be the Y. So the X and the Y. Check it out. Now they're under control. Normally, if you want them to be in the center, it's going to be 0.5 for the X, because it's set to align in the center there. And then you want to lift it up a little bit. Sometimes you want it in the center, you know, doesn't matter. But you see how now we can control the text and the position very, very easily. So this is what I mean by, you know, using nodes to kind of control this VSE stripes very, very easily. And the next thing we can do is, of course, the wrap. The wrap width can be changed if you have like a long text. For now, it's not really important. The shadow on and off, you can do that as well. This is what is it called? Actually, let's do the color first. The color of all text. So it's just gonna be called color. So just copy this, type in color, and use a color in. So color in, and it's giving an error because it needs an alpha. Okay, now we can control the color. So red, green, blue, or simply use the HSV and play with the hue. So you can change the hue while it's running, you know, like random. You can even, you know, use a random color. Wait. With the color, there is actually a quick trick here with a color out. If you turn on this guy right here and then plug in all the RGB, you can basically set the color using this interface. This GUI, very, very useful. But we're gonna use number for that. See, we can change the hue and get a different color. You can then use random number and set it to float between 0 and 1, size of 1. You can randomize it on every frame. So it's a bit crazy, but you know, you can do that. and this will render.
May the force be with you.
So that's very cool. Not gonna do that for now. You can actually make like a 6 color if I'm not wrong, and then see the color is like rainbow color from this the first text blocks to the next one. Okay, what else we can do? The font, unfortunately, with the text effect, the font cannot be changed. It's gonna be just this very weird looking font. Maybe there's a tricky way to change the font, but for now, let's keep the font as it is. Maybe the next one we can do is to change the durations and things like that. So the effect strip should, if I try to change the text start and end, what is this exactly? Controlling sequence, select sequence. I think it's a stripe. It's called a stripe start and end, and they actually. So there's a frame start and there's the length, frame final duration. So this is actually very, very important. You can actually change the opacity here, but here you see, if I'm selecting a stripe and then changing the length, this thing will change. So let's actually do that. Frame final durations. So for every object, we're gonna change the frame final duration. I always misstart this. Okay, frame final durations, and we can have a value. There you go. That's how you do it. Let's make it because for may the force be with you, it's actually like six words that you said it pretty much more or less in the same duration. So
may the force be with you.
Okay.
May the force be with you.
Kind of almost there, but then the start. Let's adjust the start frame for all of these 6. Start frame. Frame start. Okay. The name of the property needs to be correct, and then we can now plug this in. Oops. Okay, now we have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and there we can control the start frame for all 6 words. But of course, we have 6 objects here, so it's a good idea to use 6 value. You can use list input, make 6 like an integer value, and plug this into that guy, you know, and start, adjusting them manually. This is one way to work with it, and then you can then move them all at the same time. This is very interesting, I found. But since we have like 6 words all in sequence, we can just use a range integer and make a range start stop step. Let's do it this way. Range of integer, plug this in, the stepping, start value. See, that's much easier.
May the force be with you.
And then now we can adjust this.
May the force be with you. May the force be with you. May the force be with you. May the force be with you.
Actually, animation needs to go before the voice.
May the force be with you. May the force be with you. May the force be with you. Force be with you. May the 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 force be with you.
Yeah, kind of it's getting there, and it's actually, it works pretty well. I just need to tweak it. Maybe sometimes if we run it in full screen.
May the force be with you. May the force be with you. May the force be with you.
Yeah.
May the force be with you.
The sound needs to be.
May the force be with you. May the force be with you.
Okay, so there you go. That's I think pretty much done there. So I think that's pretty. It's enough of information for the introductions to use Sverchok nodes, how you can use Sverchok nodes to control these layered stripes. This is gonna be an interesting setup, because now that we are able to control the stripes, we can actually kind of use this information here. All this data can actually control, can be used inside the nodes to generate real text objects. Like I said, with a text effects here, with a text stripe, you cannot change the font. But of course, this is Blender, and you can use the 3D scenes, and you can actually use this information stored inside the stripes, bring this into Sverchok add-on, and use it to generate text, and then the text can be displayed on top of this video. This way, you can kind of augment 3D into video very easily inside Blender. Very powerful, and I've done a couple of other experiments with this, and I'll show it to you in the next live noding. Basically, so we with this already completed, we can forget about the nodes, and if you want to render it out, go back to properties, and here I'm select custom. Okay, 60 frames per second.
May the force be with you. May the force be with you.
Okay, that's working. Okay, let's render it in a 50%. That's fine. You want to change this to, if you just want to render the image separate with the audio, you can do that. You can render just the audio by clicking here. But for what I'm doing, I'm just gonna render out the QuickTime. So FFmpeg video, and on the Mac, I think, or you have these QuickTime options, and the audio can be set to MP3, and you can bake this real quickly because it's only a couple of frames. See, the text actually appears here. So if you want to do like an impromptu subtitle, you know, this is how you can do it. And once you're done, you can play the rendered animations.
May the force be with you. May the force be with you.
Okay, still out of sync there.
May the force be with you. May the force be with you.
But it's just a matter of adjusting the animations. So anyhow, you get now you understand the workflow. Hopefully you find this useful. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, suggestion, and thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.